is so foxy. When she gets all horny on eclairs, I'm like, get into my bed.
I'm not sure there's ever
Get into my belly.
Get into my belly. I'm a fat bastard from the Austin Powers movies. I want to consume you, Patty Clarkson. Hear me.
What would that even mean?
Get in my belly.
I like to imagine her having sex with
That's how I seduce women. I do fat bastard. Guys, I don't know why it's not working. I am still single.
I would not change it.
It sounds like an aphrodisiac. I'd keep doing it.
This whole movie is rotten with like unearned sensuality.
40%. Hold on. I can't hold this. 40% of the movie is people fucking horny. Like 40% of the movie. I can't. Because there's so much sexuality in this movie for no reason.
But I also said it's
for no reason.
It's positioned as sexuality, but it's not even like innuendo or anything.
No, it's like your aunt telling you what sex is.
Yes.
Like that's what it is every time someone like when they talk about getting a boner.
Depends. Is my Aunt Patty Clarkson? Get in my belly.
It's like, but it is. It's like an acting exercise. Like your acting teacher's like, you're gonna seduce the person you're ordering deli meats from. It's like a half pound of salami. It's like that's everything.
It's like the runner that is like. Have you ever thought? What did she say? Have you ever thought about how many words there are for delicious? Oh yeah. And then she's like savory, sweet.
Well, by the way, though, I think that's a problem in general with food movies. Like, I don't love food movies because I feel like there's a lot.
Can you please give me a little bit of what else is a food movie?
Big Night is a food movie. What's that?
Chef with Jon Favreau.
I have never seen that one actually, but I feel like the response I have is like, I'm not eating that food. And I can't
I hear you saying.
in on what this experience is. And obviously there's a suspension of disbelief with everything in movies, but for some reason that one is so
personal.
Like, it's so personal.
Because it feels like they're teasing you. It's like, look at this delicious meal that you won't eat.
I also feel like a lot of times what happens is the actors have to show us how good the food is.
You have to portray what taste is like.
Yes.
It's one thing to show like the other senses in a way. I guess olfactory smell would be very difficult as well, but you would never. But like taste is a very sensual thing, and it is a very personal thing.
This is over the top.
Well, that's the thing is when people try and represent it, I feel like they represent it enormously.
Enormously. It's never done in a way where I'm like, oh, I would love to either taste that, or I've never seen a movie and wanted to eat the food.
No, they're like a second away from fucking a sandwich in this movie.
Yeah,
like literally, there's people who get real turned on just by eating.
People get horny constantly. People weep openly.
But the food, and that's what makes this movie worse, is because it's all heightened.
We should explain what this movie is.
So
we've done.
Someone take a stab at the plot?
So basically this movie, and
by the way, I was shocked at the end when there was no explanation of why any of this had happened.
No. And well, here's the idea that Sarah Michelle Gellar's mom had passed away. She'd owned this restaurant for 70 years. And
not a bad run, by the way.
I have trouble with that number.
70 years is quite high. And it doesn't seem like Sarah Michelle Gellar ever learned how to cook, nor had any interest in cooking.
No.
Because she's at the age where she should have been apprenticing a lot.
By the way, I'm sorry I want to hear all of this, but that was a big problem I had with her introduction, because she's introduced as a frustrated chef who has no inspiration, and she doesn't understand why her food doesn't taste good.
Wait, is that what it is?
Yes.
I didn't get that
her food is bad.
I didn't get that she didn't have any inspiration.
No, she can't fill the shoes of her mother at all. That seems to be the real crux. Yeah.
What I agree with you on is there's no like, oh, let me look at a recipe or see if I can't take a class, or there's no move to try to get better.
Because she like even goes to get her mom's recipes, which seem to be hidden away, and you would think like, well, I'm running the restaurant, shouldn't I just put them down here in the kitchen?
Yeah. Or bring it home and read it.
Just work on it.
Or hire another chef.
Yeah. That is a weird out at any point that they could do, which is just hire someone else. Yeah.
And so she meets up with a low rent Dan Aykroyd, who gives her a bin of crabs.
She's at the farmer's market.
Yes.
At Union Square.
Yeah, in New York City. She's in New York City, the Big Apple.
It's the fifth girl in this movie.
Yeah. Well, we will never see New York City again. Really.
Right.
I mean,
because it is just enormous studio.
Henry Bendel and a set.
Yeah.
On
everything is in a set.
Yes.
And no one one is around anywhere, ever.
Never.
No.
Like, even in the farmer's market, it's empty.
Yep.
When they're on the street, it's
There
empty.
are more extras in The Boy Next Door than there are in this movie.
And even it takes a page from the Avengers, which we did a couple movies ago. It was just like, oh, we'll save money.
Yeah.
You don't have to show anyone else existing.
Yeah.
Except for one extra that June found, which we'll talk about later. But one of my favorite things, and the movie starts off with, like, this old man. It's a trope of these movies where he's like, hey, whatever her character's
He's like,
name.
maybe. He's like, good to see you.
Amanda, hey, good to see you. And he throws a
Riley.
tomato, and he like throws a tomato or whatever at her. But the way that he tosses it, she's so far.
Yeah.
It just didn't seem, it seemed to me like, wait till she gets a little bit closer.
And by the way, that's right off the bat. There was a physics issue in the first 15 seconds.
Old man throwing a tomato at Sarah Michelle Gellar as she walks across the parking lot.
And everybody knows that her restaurant is closing, except for her.
Everyone except just another random booth.
She seems unaware of the fact that her restaurant is closing, even though she knows that nobody comes ever.
Yeah.
And the people
There are 3 customers.
There are 3 regulars who do not like the food.
Yeah.
But are there because they feel obligated to her mother.
To her mother, exactly.
Well, that's a weird thing, too, because, well, anyway, Dan Aykroyd is a genie, or some sort of fake
But dressed like he's dressed like Carmen Sandiego, though.
Yeah, he's wearing a big fedora, and he gives her a box of piquito crabs,
Right.
in which there's no instructions to. It's just like, here, have some crabs.
But then he charges her, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not even like that magical, because magical you'd usually get for free.
But he didn't, like, say, like, make a this.
Well, first she's like, I don't want him, walks away, and then he approaches her again.
From the other side. Yeah.
Then he makes sure she gets them, and then, like, they...
Below that, a date, June 13th, 1997.
Control plus F nope.
You, colon.
No nope thread.
Please go to my website
Nope.
on the sticker.
Nope thread.
Also go to Ronith's room
Not mine but classic nopes.
and press
Be 20-year-old me.
down,
At girlfriend's house.
right.
I spent days at a time there sometimes.
So I happen to know that this is right.
She has a quite weird bathroom.
Right. Go here.
Doesn't look old. And she keeps it quite clean actually.
So what is it?
Can
Down,
hear people
down,
talking and yelling at each other when you're in there sometimes but in a muffled tone. Can't understand anything. Weed in her bathroom.
Go out this way here.
Have bathroom fan on because of weed smoke and also makes it harder to hear me smoke.
It appears to be
Not
the same.
allowed to smoke in the house but I always do in the bathroom and her mom never notices. It's 3 a.m.
But different.
I hear a woman and a little girl arguing. Sounds like my girlfriend's mom and her little sister. Freak out cause I think they're awake and going to find out I'm smoking. Turn the bathroom fan off to hear better. Screaming stops. Completely silent. Weird, but blame the sound of the fan making sounds that seem like yelling. Turn fan back on. Continue smoking.
Nothing out here, as far as
Few
I see.
minutes later it happens
But
again.
actually, I think there is something.
It's
out
even louder. Turn fan off. And it's silent again. Finish smoking in a hurry and leave the bathroom and back to my girlfriend's room.
Seems like, right, I'm supposed to
Ask her if she's ever heard random talking in her bathroom.
If I just keep walking
She
around.
looks at me surprised and says, "Oh my god, yes. I thought I was crazy or something."
Find anything out here?
Says she usually hears a man and a woman arguing when it happens.
And,
Says it only happens
last time I
at
came out
night.
here, I was walking around
Second encounter.
for
Be late
an
again.
hour.
Probably around the same time.
This in, less than
Leave
15
girlfriend's room to go piss.
This is just luck.
Walk in and push the door closed but it didn't close all the way and when it does it opens back up.
Right now, I would not be able to find
Standing
this.
there taking a piss and out of the corner of my eye I see the door is opening back up cause I didn't close it all the way.
Directions that I went.
Look over and start pushing the door closed.
So I'm
As
kinda
I'm
scared
looking
to-
and closing,
you know, wanted
I
to-
notice a human-like shadowy arm was reaching in from the crack of the door at me.
That I cannot open
As the door is closing, it takes its arm out before it closes on
I
it.
don't know what to do.
Completely freaked out and notice I've pissed on myself because I wasn't paying attention because I was so scared.
Provide a clue.
Reluctant to open that door, I wait in that bathroom for a minute or two, just listening. I haven't even flushed the toilet yet. I'm gonna have to leave eventually. Flush the toilet and as it's flushing, I hear a man yelling in muffled tone even louder than last time. Nope, the hell out of there, back to my girlfriend's room. Tell her about the shadowy arm. Tells me she sometimes sees a shadow man in the house. Tells me that one time she used the bathroom with the door open once and saw it staring at her. She freaked out and screamed at it to go away and it ran down the hallway. Said she's also seen it standing in the middle of her room before when she's walked by it and looked in. Says she's went to the crazy hospital for it and they say it's 'cause of stress and depression, it's making her hallucinate. I don't think she's hallucinating. Nothing too crazy has happened since other than hearing two people argue every once in a while at night. Still gives me creeps thinking about it all though. Became a/K/Amando because of this. Be me. Respond to an ad on Craigslist for a warehouse job. Only 5 miles from my house. Show up for interview at 9 a.m. Shadiest looking office I've ever seen, red flag number 1. Pace looked abandoned and smelled like wet dog. Receptionist was all tatted up and unprofessional looking. 3 other guys for interviews, they all seemed to be on the slow side. Guy shows up, says he's Mr. Banks. Leads us into a conference room and says there is no warehouse job, red flag number 2. Tells us it's a lucrative sales position, will make $600 a week. Asks for SSN and driver's license, red flag number 3. Give a fake SSN but give him my license. Says we need to go to the bank to withdraw money for the paid training. Tells us to get in a van without windows with his 2 managers, bouncer-looking guys. Say I'll just follow in my truck, he agrees. Consider leaving but decide to see it through. They drive to the outskirts of town into farmland, no banks around. Turn down a long road. Trees lining the road form a canopy that blocks out sunlight. Turn on headlights. Alarm bells go off. Slam my brakes. Van stops, manager gets out. I can see a holstered gun under his jacket. Hit it in reverse and get back on a main road. Check Google Maps, nothing but dead ends in that area. Check Craigslist, post deleted. Tell cops, they say they'll look into it. I've carried my Glock 24/7 ever since. Be me about 4 years ago. Like going on midnight walks as I find it relaxing. Get this weird feeling before I head out so I grab my knife, never know what'll happen. Head outside and make my way through my neighborhood. Start to notice it's considerably darker outside than it usually is. Chalk it up to bad storm day before still cloudy, some street lamps are out. Entire time I'm leaving my neighborhood, can't shake this feeling of being followed. Decide to just turn up my music and keep going on. Make it to a street that's usually busy but hardly any cars. Bored with where I usually head to, I decide to explore my GF at the Times Housing Edition. At this point I've completely forgotten about that feeling I got earlier. Casually walking downhill and checking out all the cool houses. Get to this cul-de-sac and see this huge old house straight down center. Head towards house to get a better look. As I approach I see the top story window is completely shattered. Getting a little closer I can only make out what appears to be a person standing perfectly still staring down at me. Get this cold shiver down my spine but try to brush it off as trying to see stuff that isn't there. Against better